All right, let's get a little personal today. We're going to talk about a piece of tech that's quietly, and sometimes not so quietly, reshaping millions of our lives, ChatGPT. We're not just talking about the hype, the headlines. We're diving into what actually changes when this AI becomes a real part of your daily routine.
So, let me ask you this right at the start. What if an AI wasn't just some tool you used once in a while, but was your constant daily helper? How would that really change the way you work, the way you think, maybe even the way you feel? The thing is, for a lot of us, this isn't some far-off hypothetical anymore. It's happening right now, and that's exactly what we're going to explore.
For the longest time, the idea of an AI assistant was something straight out of science fiction, right? Think movies, think books. Well, that's not the case anymore. That whole concept has literally jumped off the screen and landed right in our hands, on our smartphones and our laptops.
I mean, just think about it. You've got assistants like Siri or the recommendations that pop up on Netflix. AI is already deeply woven into our lives, kind of working behind the scenes, automating the boring stuff, and making our digital world feel, well, ours. But tools like ChatGPT are taking this to a whole new level. The integration is way more active, way more personal, and it's starting to fundamentally change how we manage our day-to-day lives.
Okay, so let's jump into the big one first, productivity. For so many people, this is the main event. ChatGPT has become this absolute game changer, not just for getting things done, but for getting them done at a speed that honestly would have sounded like magic just a couple of years ago.
So what does that actually look like in real life? Well, a typical day might mean using it to brainstorm some fresh ideas for a project. Or maybe it's finally tackling that delicate email you've been avoiding. For others, it's writing or cleaning up code, or even just summarizing a huge article you just don't have time to read. It's basically like having a super efficient intern on call 24/7.
And look, this isn't just a vibe, okay? This is backed by actual data. An experimental study had professionals work on some common writing tasks. The group using ChatGPT, get this, they finished their work a whopping 37% faster. That is a massive, massive leap in efficiency.
And you see that number play out in the real world. Listen to this one software engineer. They said their efficiency literally doubled. But here's the really interesting part. It wasn't just about doing more work. They felt they were learning more. And that is such a key point. It's not just about speed. It's about boosting your own capabilities along the way.
But the productivity stuff, as huge as it is really only half the story. For a lot of users, the most profound change wasn't happening at work at all. It was in their personal lives. ChatGPT is becoming more than a tool. For some people, it's becoming a kind of unexpected companion.
So researchers are seeing this growing trend of people having what they call non-instrumental conversations. What does that mean? It means they aren't trying to solve a problem or get an answer. They're just talking. They're looking for some emotional support, a private space to vent, or just a sense of connection, especially when they're feeling vulnerable.
This quote from a university student is just, wow, so powerful. They called it an emotional trash can. And that just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It's not about finding a solution. It's just about the act of getting it all out in a space where there's zero judgment.
And the roles people are giving it are so deeply personal. One study found people describing it as everything from an interactive journal to a confidant who will never tell your secrets. People have even called it a little mom or an emotional first aid responder. It's pretty clear it's tapping into this very human need to feel heard and validated.
So on one side, you've got this incredible upside, huge productivity boosts, and this surprising emotional support. But this relationship we're building with AI isn't quite that simple. There are some hidden costs here, and it's really crucial that we flip the coin over and look at the other side.
At the end of the day, it's a trade-off. The pros are obvious, right? It saves time, it's great for learning new things, it's always available. But the cons are pretty serious. We all know it can be inaccurate, but there's a deeper concern here, the idea that it might be making us worse at critical thinking. And that's a big one we need to unpack.
And that concern actually has a name, cognitive debt. It's a term from researchers at the MIT Media Lab. Think of it like this. If you stop working out, your muscles get weaker. Well, the idea here is that if we consistently reduce the mental effort we put into tasks, we might be underusing some pretty critical brain functions. We're essentially outsourcing our thinking.
And this isn't just a theory. The evidence is pretty startling. They actually used EEGs to measure people's brain activity while they were writing, and they found that the people using these big AI models showed the weakest neural connectivity. It's a literal picture of what cognitive offloading looks like, letting the machine do the heavy lifting for our brains.
So where does all this leave us?
We have a tool that makes us faster and can feel like a friend, but it might also be making us think a little less for ourselves. The future probably isn't about rejecting this technology, but about figuring out a new, more mindful way to live with it.
You know, this quote from a developer who uses it all the time really sums it up perfectly. Using ChatGPT isn't magic, it's a skill. Learning how to use it well, how to question its answers, and knowing when to just rely on your own brain, that is the real challenge. And it's the key to finding a healthy balance.
Hey, if you got something out of this explainer, do us a quick favor and hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps us make more content just like this.
And that brings us right back to you. We've looked at the data, we've heard the stories, but what's your experience? How has this technology really changed your daily life? For better or for worse? Let us know down in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.